Alrighty, hello everyone. Welcome back, or welcome to the Spincast Cycling Show. I'm Brian Kellison. You can kill the music. Yes, we'll know that. We're gonna start off with what I did today, which was ride every platform that I have access to. I don't have Rouvy access. Is there anything I'm gonna miss here? I did Zwift first. I did Zwift race. Oh, hold on. Casey Shum, Brian White leads the race. I went fired off like a cannon. Didn't even acknowledge my. It's hey. Sorry. Hope everyone's doing well. We're gonna go straight into it, and then we can discuss. But I did Zwift, my whoosh, which we'll touch on a little bit more. Then I went to Training Peaks, virtual. Then Bike Terra. I tried to do Rouvy, but you have to sign up with a credit card. And I already did my trial, and I was like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And then I did Bike Terra, and then I did Crank Up, which I hadn't done for a while, and it's been updated. It was updated back in December. So first things first, Zwift is Zwift. Zwift is Zwift. Flat is fast. That's all it is. It's just like I tried breaking away a couple times. I lost 20, 30 points for finishing 20th or whatever. It's like I'm like kind of in the group, and then the group is kind of really doing whatever it's doing, and I have figured out, at least for me, you just look at the group. Like if the group is big enough, you really just look at the group. If the group is small, then you're looking at like individual riders per se. But usually I was just watching the blob and making sure I didn't fall off too much. And then when I did an attack, I tried to attack a little bit. Well, I got off whatever. I didn't get too far away. And people just kind of increase the power, and somebody pulls it back. And it's just sort of like this teardrop thing. So that's Zwift. Have you guys done Zwift in a while?
No. I had a good week on Zwift, actually. But
Oh.
I didn't do any of the flat as fast stuff because you get a good workout there, but that's not racing.
Yeah, so what is racing then? What should be the races if I do any races on Zwift again?
I mean, the great racing I had this week was all stuff that you had to sign up and participate in. We got downgraded a division in ZRL, so it was fantastic this week. We were competitive. It wasn't a lock for a win, right? Me and a teammate went, like, he went second place, I went fifth place overall at the finish line. It was a points race, so you had a couple intermediate sprints. We got second place as a team. We're competitive, but what was interesting is, was there like 10 teams in our division that have actively participated in 2 weeks now? And there is 2 points in the overall team standings separating second place and sixth place in the overall team standings. Like, second place has 23 team points, and I think sixth place has 25 team points after 2 weeks. I'm like, this is actually a pretty dang competitive leagues. That's fun. And then Wednesday night was a ladder race that was, the results didn't look competitive, but the race was super competitive because we were racing against a team that was that could sprint really well. Every person on their team had like a 13 watt per kilogram sprint, but none of them could match our 20-minute power. So this was just we relentlessly attacked, and about 50% of the way through the race, we finally broke everybody off, the 3 strongest guys on our team, and we got into a breakaway. But I mean, it was an absolute slugfest.
Okay.
It was great. It was fun. And
so what you're saying is organized things where you actually that hurdle you have to do to sign up for a thing and get on a team or fight, that's racing. Everything else is a group ride, and people are calling it racing, but it's not.
Yeah,
it's
both of those.
It's just group riding. It's like local group ride. Sprint to the stop
You're
sign.
gonna make all the racers so mad with that.
Good, because they're not racing. They're not racers.
Both of those things are deliberate. They're deliberate things that you can be tactical in, right? There was gameplay inside the race. There was tactics to be had.
So, like, organized racing indoor would be like organized racing in real life. Regular racing indoor, where you just show up, would be the same as a drop group ride, maybe.
Yeah, I
think
a
Tuesday night race ride. Yeah,
I think I brought this up in my pen I had like 15 minutes because, you know, I just joined the pen. I don't ride around and I don't care about getting my XP and all the other stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do Zwift. I'm just going to the pen. I'm not going to spend any time outside of the damn thing. And I'm like talking with Scott Cunningham, who we're going to mention a little bit more because the Nationals are coming this weekend. But he was in chat. I'm like, hey, I wonder how many people of the 20 that are signed up. There was probably like 5 minutes left before the start. And I'm like, how many people of these 20 are performance verified? And I'm thinking like 2 or 3, maybe only me. Like
on Zwift? You're talking about on Zwift?
No, not on Zwift. In the world. Like I'm performance verified, but I ride on Zwift, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how I see it is, are you performance verified? Yeah, I did a performance verification test to race the Echelon Racing League, which is then the national championships.
Yeah.
But I believe that can be transpired over, you know, over other things. It's like you did classes at community college. It should be able to go to university. Like, oh, you get credits for that, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm calling them out. I'm calling you out. Casual Zwift riders are not racing. They're not racing. They're doing the group ride.
I'll say this. Racing on Zwift after spending a lot more time racing on my whoosh, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
I will say the draft is so beneficial.
Oh yeah.
You have to be much more aware in a my whoosh race.
Yeah.
And even in Training Peaks, I haven't done Training Peaks.
Yeah,
in a
Training
year,
Peaks.
but
I was falling off the group.
yeah,
Because when you let go,
you got to pay attention too.
Yeah, even Bike Terra. Yeah, like that's the thing is I think I'm gonna sign up for Rouvy because I wanted to get a Rouvy test. But Zwift is very easy. It's a lot of like training wheels. Now, a lot of people are like probably frustrated. That happened with RGT as well. There's your first one. Where people that would come from Zwift and they would be immediately frustrated because of how easy their perception of hard is not actually hard. It's training wheels and helping you whatever double draft. I always get these mixed up. Double draft is not sticky draft or sticky watts. Somebody has to explain this. But I think double draft is where it was like overly compensated draft to help people stay with the group.
Apparently double draft was more realistic draft.
Okay.
So they called it double draft, but they were just taking their crap no draft, doubling it, and it was closer to realistic. Zwift still hasn't jumped to that, realistic drafts yet.
I don't think they are. I think we go back to this conversation of like Zwift is going to be Zwift. They are not
100%. They're doing their own thing.
Yeah, they're doing their own thing, and that's where like everyone has that sort of taste in their that perception of, oh, since this is the first thing I've done, or this is the thing I do the most, this is correct. And sometimes that's not always the case.
Well, speaking of verified racing, Damon from ZMS posted in the Discord, interesting stat. When we talk about people jumping through hoops, SRC has 352 hoop jumpers that regularly race. So, I mean, it is a thing and people are willing to do it. But I think you got to like put up the money for people to want to do it.
I don't know. Well, that's Zwift. Zwift is Zwift, and I understand it fully now, where it's like, this is what they want. This is what people want.
No, I think there's a time and place for all of the apps, and I mean, Zwift is the most popular, and people do enjoy it.
It's a social network. It's social network. I was saying this in my
100%.
stream today. Social network. So like that's the thing. It's like I think I was explaining this to one of the Nathan, one of our different Nathan on my stream. He was we were discussing about how do people not see through the Zwift sort of ecosystem or what they've presented, and try my whoosh or another platform. They go, hey, there's a little bit more to this sort of indoor riding, and it's not always the Zwift way, right? And he called it the Zwift bubble.
Yeah.
And so it was like, well, the reason why is because there's a lot of people, like my analogy is I always do the restaurant or the bar, It's like some people like going to a bar where it's popular or their friends go to, even though the appetizers are not that good and the bartender isn't that good, and you get like a watered down Shirley Temple, because I'm ordering a Shirley Temple, and you're like, wow, this Shirley Temple isn't that good, but my friends go here, so I'm going to show up, right? And that's, to me, that's like Zwift. It's like being able to go, that's right. It's kind of like it is. So going after that to my whoosh. Now, my whoosh is my whoosh. We've talked extensively about it, but I did the recon ride of shout out to Dave Garge, who's also on. It came in early on my stream, and he's racing. I think he's 35 plus or 40 plus national championships. He raced with me on RGT in 2022. I think he's done the last 3 national championships, right? So he's preparing. He's really fit from what I've seen in the Echelon Racing League, and then he and Scott were talking. But I did the course on my whoosh for the national championships. It's called Dirty Trail. I don't know if anyone's
Dusty Trail.
Dusty Trail. I am not looking forward to this at all.
It has a lot of elevation.
Just cruising. Oh my, no, it's up and down.
Well, yeah, no, it's
there's
nonstop.
It's like 12%, 11%, and then it's down, and then it's up, and then it's down, and then it's up, and then it's down, and I'm just like, okay, let me huddle up, everybody, as we huddle up on this show not very often, but on my show we do. I'm a time trialist. The flatter, the better, right? This is not that at all.
It's punchy.
Wow. Yeah. So I did it, and I'm like, holy moly. I'm talking to Scott, and he's very fit. He's current 50 plus U.S. national champ. So he's coming in really strong, but it is going to be a tough course. It's going to be a really tough course.
Well, it's 171 meters over 10K per lap.
Yeah. And 3 laps.
If you look at the profile just goes like this.
Yeah, there's a lot. And there's a lot of turns. So it's going to be like, I don't think there's any like straightaways. So if you can get away and get out of sight, out of mind, I don't think you can, because you can kind of see people up the road. It's like a weird sort of like, it looks like a pump track or like a gravel like track.
Now, same course for you, Lee, for the next weekend? Okay.
Yeah. I think Cycling Canada is using the same course for Canadian Nationals.
And remind me again, my wish is Dusty Trail. Is your CDA different on the dirt? Is this a dirt road too?
Yeah, it's, to my knowledge, there's no difference in CDA versus anything. Like the bikes, the wheels, it's no difference. There's not one that's faster.
I was thinking RGT had something like this a few years ago, but its dirt slowed you down. It was a course similar to this.
No dirt slowed you down. Okay. Not in RGT.
No, what actually RGT put in on the dirt was pinch points. So there were sections of the dirt that narrowed, and you could only go like single file.
Right. Yeah.
And that sort of was this is a trail, which so you knew the single track was coming up. You better hammer and get ahead, because otherwise you're going to be stuck behind people.
That's fun.
Yeah. So
it was interesting.
The thing we wanted to touch on, which I'll bring up, I kind of teased them before I told, or we're going to tell the audience here. But can you bring up the number of participation for the USA? Is that up already? So Scott Cunningham shared this with me. Now, he must have had a special Excel sheet. I don't know where he got this, but this is from yesterday of the current national championship competitors for the United States. I don't know what the total is. Somebody total it. Wants to do that math really quick. Less than 100, maybe? I would say less than 100 if we can do the math really quickly.
Less than 50.
Less than 50.
Less than 50 there too. Yeah. Oh, there's a bunch of zeros. I have the thing in the
women 50 to 54 masters. You're winning.
Yeah.
Someone show up.
Exactly. So I would like to know so if 45 to 49, that's me 6, right?
And how many of those 6 are elite men?
I
racing
will now,
both.
Are you ready?
Right.
Drum roll, please. 2. We have a new We have a new favorite in the category of 45 to 49 Masters men, United States. Neil Freyet.
Oh,
Neil Freyet and Mason Roca and myself and Dominic Barnes and Christoph Fizieta from Virginia. Yeah. So those are the six. Those are the six we have right now.
I looked at that list earlier in the week and I was like, man, if they booted the elites, like me, you and Barnes could get in there and go for like a sweep of the podium.
Let's do it. Yeah. So now I'm going to be going hard, as hard as I can. Now we are racing together with the 50. So it's 45 to 54, racing together, scoring separately.
And Scott's in that category, right?
Scott's in that, and they have 7. So it'll be, as of right now, and registration ends on Wednesday, which is typical for most races in the United States. Usually the Wednesday before the race, the online registration usually closes. There used to be on-day stuff, but not for national championships. For like regular, show up to do your 3R race at the local what is it? The Esparto time trial. You could sign up day of, but you can't do that for this. So 13 to 15 people in a race. It'll be fun. We'll probably get what we typically get is different jerseys, so you know who's who. So if you're like up the road with like 2 green jerseys and you're a yellow jersey, you obviously know that you're going with the people that are not in your category. So you're going to have to pay attention to that.
Well, it was the same with RGT when they ran Canadian and U.S. nationals.
They've done this the last 3 national championships.
There was different jerseys and different helmets.
Yeah, so the one 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, it was just U.S. and just Canada. Those were separate. But it was, I think it was 35. It was just Masters raced everyone together. It was a big, everybody raced together. And then it was Canada and Masters, it was 35. It was everyone raced together. But everyone had different colored helmets. So everyone had different jerseys for what age you were in. And then the helmet differentiated which country you were in.
Have you come up with a strategy for this, BK?
Yes, I have. Do you want me to share it?
Elites,
Do you want me to share it?
Yes.
With the elites, isn't it just hold on with that kind of course definition?
When does this
and what
publish?
you're talking about, you just hold on as long as you can to get a gap, right? Be the last one to fall off the elites.
That's my goal. Yeah. There you go. Do that. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like just hang on for as long as I can.
Yeah. It's all in until you break.
Yeah. These numbers are disappointing, but then the selfish side of me goes, hell yeah, there's people that are going to win nationals that in no other situation would ever have any hope in hell in winning nationals. So cool. Good for them. Like someone's going to get a jersey and be like, I'm the national champ. Like, awesome.
I mean, to be honest, I beat 5 people in my age group to win the national championships that I won. I beat 5 people, but we were racing a bunch of other people. So the first year, which is 2022, my first year is 2022. I got 5th place overall, but I got first in my age because I did a bridge to 2 other age categories that were chasing Scott Cannizzaro, who won the first master. He was in the Masters. It was and then Jaden Yeager, who's another like elite. He was chasing back and he got second, but they were different. I believe they were different age groups because Jaden's a 40 plus and Scott is a 35 plus. But they didn't race the elites the next day. That's where Mason Roca wasn't in my age group, and he raced elites and won elites. And Kevin Burchard Hall got second, right? So then the following year, I don't know if you could do 2023. You could do elites. Do you remember, Lee? You could do.
Not sure. I just know in Canada that's always been a no-no.
Yeah. And then the Zwift one is where you could where we were racing. Saturday was the Masters, and then Sunday was the elites. That's right. It was that. So Masters race was a scratch race. And then nationals last year was the three challenge thing. It was like the sprint, the suffer, and the something else. You guys remember that? You guys didn't do the elites. You guys didn't watch me. Thanks for the support. I appreciate it. It was 3 races. Oh my goodness!
Watched since then, man.
I think it was only for U.S. cycling that it was 3 races, because the Canadian race.
Canada didn't do that.
Canada did the one Scotland race.
That's right. You guys had a really good race where
the
it was
one
like
where the guy
broke
went
away
for it, broke away. An amazing race to watch, like unbelievable, because the guy broke away. He went at like 15 watts per kilo brake with like 4K to go, and everyone was like, "There's no way." And then Tom Thrall decided, no one's going for it. I'm going to try to get this guy. Tom Thrall tried to bridge, didn't bridge. And this is where indoor is amazing, because they were showing Tom on screen. They were showing the guy on the brake. You could see the like look in Tom's eyes, like, I'm not catching this guy. Tom goes back to the main group, but then the main group catches the guy with 400 meters left. And then Tom wins the sprint. It was insane. Like the last 5 minutes is like one of the most epic indoor races you can imagine.
I agree. It was exciting. It was fun. How do we make it more exciting to get more people to show up to do it?
Oh, totally enjoyed that race.
Tell them.
No, it's tough though, because it's
the hoops.
You have to have some hoops.
It's the hoops.
The hoops totally.
And you got to be fit.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm already like, okay, I'll give you my headspace. So before Neil Freyet was in the group, it was just Mason, Dominic, and myself. And I was like, okay, well, I've raced against Mason before, and what could I do to maybe catch him off guard? Right? Because it's not RGT. He was super strong in RGT, and he was very strong in my whoosh, but I almost caught him last year. Right? I was like, I just had a little bit more help. Maybe I could have caught him. And I'm thinking, okay, the numbers don't matter. I'm just racing the people that are in it, you know? Then it starts to get bigger and bigger, and you have to keep thinking about what you're trying to do, right? That is commitment. You need to commit mental capacity and think about it. Like Brian, because Brian races the SRC, the Sunday Race Club. How much do you spend time getting up for those races? Thinking mentally.
A lot, really. Because I just individually, it's like, how am I going to attack this course? What do I got to do? And then you throw out some ideas to the team. Hey, you guys want to try this? But a lot goes into studying the course. The last SRC that I won in mid-December, whatever the date was, it was in Belgium. And my fitness has been trending down. And at that point, I knew I didn't have the VO2 to ride with those guys. So I was like, the only thing is going into breakaway. Luckily, I had a teammate out the front. We worked together, and it worked out in our favor. But there's a lot of effort that goes into each week looking at what you're going to do. And what's your best course of action to win? Yeah. My fitness is so low right now, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to finish 20th to 30th anyway, but right, you still, but I still think about it.
Yeah, not even leading up to it. Like you're having, well, SRC is a little different by the weight. Like you're having a weight. Yeah. You have to worry about your weight. You have to get that all dialed in. You have to have the right gear to do all this stuff. So, and I understand that that's the ultimate goal, right?
And then the other part too is, even though you have the right gear, it's also is the right gear going to work during the race? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
but we can't. You're not participating in something going, is the gear going to work? Like we're just going in there to say, oh yeah, it's going to work. But if it doesn't work, it's like let's say I go to Georgia because that's the last time road nationals, outside nationals were, and I drive all the way there, or I fly with my bike and everything like that, and I get a flat in the race. That sucks, but that's the risk, right? The thing is like, okay, I'm committing to do nationals. I'm flying. I'm getting a hotel. I'm doing all these things. I'm then going to compete. Can I compete against these other people? where a lot of the hurdles to get to a race are gone for doing a race like this. Is there some of the stigma of, is this verified or is this cheating? Are the people cheating? I don't want to be involved with this, and I just rather just ride casually and do fun rides, and there's no pressure. That, I think, is something that we need to take into account. But if you have the opportunity, I know Lee is very passionate about, like, hey, it's national, you should show up and do it, period. The cost of it is the other thing.
Actually, honestly, the cost, I think, is more than the hoops.
I think
It's
so too.
$140.
Yeah.
For people who don't need it, like for me to do this one race. I'm doing it, but I like it's a big expense. You know, will I do it next year? I don't know. I actually wasn't planning on doing it this year. I kind of was like, no. And then I kind of went way too ragey on all the Discord channels of like, everyone, you need to show up. And then I wasn't planning on showing up. So I'm like, damn it. I guess I'm in, and so be it.
Yeah, and I think I said this last week when I popped in halfway through the show. For me, I will only do one race, and it would be nationals online in my basement right here. You know what I mean? Why should I, or why do I need to pay the $150? Like, I'm not going to an event that needs insurance. I'm going in my basement, taking the own risk of myself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not at a place. I forget what it's called, but it's like the lower one. It's like $20 to join. If we could do that for USA just to do online nationals. Now, if I go outside and race, whatever, then yeah, I totally understand it. But I'm not. Like, I'm simply going to do this one event, and that's it.
We don't pay that much to do a one-day use. Like, if I go sign up for a crit just for a one day, I'm not paying that much money.
See, in Canada, you're not allowed. They have a one-day license that's $25. You can't use that one-day license for nationals.
Yeah. That's where USA was.
And as we've talked with Josh, Peacock from Cycling Canada, like that would be the end goal, is to have a $20 esports license. I think if you could make nationals cost under $50 all in, including like the ERL fee and that,
or
you get way more people.
Or you have more events that you can use your license for.
Well, that's exactly what Josh mentioned. He said
that's what we need.
He doesn't feel there's enough events, because there is only one, to warrant a separate esport license.
Yeah, and I would even go as this far as, if Sunday Race Club required you have a license, I'd buy it for Sunday Race Club.
Well,
and
then you need a
everything.
UCI license. You need a national governing body license to get a UCI license, or it's not a UCI license unless you're like a pro, but you get a free number. You get a number.
Yeah.
So I have a UCI number to do nationals. But that comes free with the USA national license.
Yeah.
So what we need is more events that are verified that you can use your license throughout. Like, this is that
you have to have an esports license.
I think that's
to attend.
I think that's my pitch. That's what I was trying to get to, is this sort of like, oh, well, I'm not going to use it outside, so I don't need it. It's like, no. Why don't we get like 5 races throughout the year, and nationals, like a World Cup, or excuse me, a national cup that we do, and you're like, look, I need this. Okay, I'm going to support this, and then that funding goes into performance verification or whatever the hell it is, to make sure that the racing is on the up and up.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I could buy into that.
Yeah, I think I would buy into that a little bit more if you did like a USA cycling, eFondo series or something.
Yeah.
Also that stacked on top of that, right?
Yeah.
And it didn't even have to be super competitive, but just something more,
I get some value from that high cost, which I agree. And then if you do, like, you get, not only are you getting the esports license, you're getting an outdoor license. So people that do race outdoors, like I race outdoors, when I do an event, I use the same license. It's the same price for me. I think what we need now is, instead of going, hey, let's lower the yes, I think a lower cost license would be beneficial. But if they're not able to justify it, give us more certified indoor like races. That's the count. That's the thing. The value. The value comes from more events.
Yeah,
Yes,
it has to
agree,
go
we
one way or
read
the
it.
other, right? You
Are we
got to
voting on
get
this? No.
yeah, it's got to go one way or the other, right? You got to
Yes.
make it cheaper, or you got to give them more for that
Yes.
payment that they're putting in there.
Yeah. All right.
It's a tough situation.
Yeah. All right.
You want to see?
What do we? What? Let's talk about that.
Well, I was gonna say participation numbers. Rouvy.
Rouvy. Let's go to Rouvy now. Let's go to Rouvy. I didn't do Rouvy. Lee streamed Rouvy.
I didn't actually ride.
You didn't ride. Yeah, that's whatever. You
I was
don't
at
ride
work.
anyways. I mean,
How does that work?
yeah. Even if you were able to ride, would you have ridden?
Yes.
Because you're no way.
This event.
You would have done this one.
100%.
Okay.
100%. I
This
would
is
have
motivating for you. Okay.
Well, and even
Well,
step back from it for a second, Lee. Like, this was a kind of an out of the blue random moment, right? Like, we're just chatting kind of in Discord. Did you know this ride was coming?
But
Well,
we have
for
to
like a week.
Wait, even go back
Okay.
further. Even go back further. Why are we even talking about Rouvy?
We're talking about Rouvy because I think the indoor cycling community.
Brian knows. Brian, go.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Brian, go.
Full Gas was now sold to Rouvy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why we're talking about Rouvy.
Iron Man said we've had enough of full gas.
Yeah. No more Full Gas. Or did Full Gas get folded into Rouvy?
No,
No,
It
not
just-
really.
So Iron Man
users basically got
owned full
sucked in.
gas,
Okay.
Yeah.
and Rouvy bought the rights to all the full gas routes and all of that, and the Iron Man participation. They are in the process of porting the routes from full gas into Rouvy.
Oh, okay. So
and
it
the
is an
entire
acquisition.
full
Okay.
gas team was told, "See you later."
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that's why
Yeah.
we're talking about Rouvy, because of the Full Gas thing, which was, I think Brian brought it up. Brian got back from some boat and then posted
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And he
And
was
what
like,
was-
hey, Rouvy, or Rouvy bought, or whatever it was, Iron Man sold Full Gas, or Rouvy bought it, or something. And now we're talking about Rouvy. And then, like the next day, or that even later that day, I think it was, the Wout Van Aert group ride.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't know who told me about that. It might have been Bjorn or somebody. Or it was Lee, you got a notification or something. And it was like, oh, wow, cool, throw this on. And then I said, hey, can you stream it? Even though you're not going to be in it. And it was like 6,000 people did it. Yeah, here it is.
5,600.
5,600 people.
Yeah, I was watching it leading up to before it went live.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was 6,300 people signed up.
Yeah.
And after the ride, Rouvy said, hey, this was the biggest group ride we've ever had. And then I'm thinking, 6,300 for one ride? Like, have we underestimated Rouvy?
Yeah.
That is a big ass ride. They're definitely the number two in indoor cycling.
I think they've
That number is surprising to me too, because just this week it was like, we're in that peak Zwift season, and I was looking at my Zwift app. It wasn't a Tuesday, like the magic time is Tuesday around midday for us is always peak Zwift, but it was like Thursday at 2 p.m. for me, still around a peaky time. Zwift only had 10,000 people on it, and I'm like, they're getting this in one group ride. Like that's pretty significant.
And now here's the question: is this everyone that's ever? This is all of Rouvy is in this group ride?
Well, you would think so, but
or is it like?
I've been in challenges. Like Rouvy has a lot of challenges. Like ride this many routes and you get a badge and all this or extra points. And there literally will be 48,000 people signed up for a particular challenge.
48,000 or 4,800?
48,000.
Oh, a lot of people sign up for it, but they don't just show up.
And I don't think 48,000 is even all the people, because that's a specific, it's like climb the 10 hardest hills in the world, and there's 50,000 people signed up for that. I mean, not everyone wants to do that.
So this was very interesting. Not only was it like, hey, we got a real gauge of like how many people are into this on Rouvy for Wout Van Aert, and they're partnered with Visma Lisa Bike. But the oh man, I lost my train of thought. It was no. It was like, is a free ride the thing that people want to do? Now racing, I don't know, but like this was a casual thing because it was the Wout Van Aert thing.
I like that he was riding just casually too. there was people that were racing and he's just like chugging along.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to put it in perspective. You know, Wout Van Aert on a paid platform got 5,600 or 6,000 people, whatever, to sign up and ride, whereas the Tadej Pogacar ride on My Whoosh had 3,500. I think that's a big.
Yeah, when was
tell.
the last Matthew Van Der Poel? Sort of sponsored one, because Matthew, I think Mathieu, as you say it, and we can have Brian say it.
Oh, Mathieu Van Der Poel.
The paid sort of like, obviously this is a announced thing. Randomly, Wout Van Aert showing up in Rouvy is probably not going to get this much, where he just randomly shows up. Which I think we talked about this last week, which was
Well, that's the
ambassadors
difference too. Is Rouvy? This is paid subscribers.
Yeah,
This is paid, all paid,
paid,
not free. Like you have to put in a credit card to even try it. That's why I forgot. I was like, I don't want to do my credit card right now, and so you can do a trial, but you got to put in your credit card. So that might be a hurdle for them, because I know RGT did another drink there. RGT was like, they changed that sort of like, hey, you want to try it out for free? Or you can try the premium stuff, which is Magic Roads and all the other stuff. I think Casey did that, and he got a 30-day trial or whatever it was, but he didn't have to put his credit card in. He's like, I like that.
Yep.
So it was kind of cool to see, especially thanks for streaming that, Lee, even though you didn't ride it. But seeing all those people like kind of chilling and noodling, and then you got to see a lot of people in that, and it's chugging, it's not chugging, it's doing all right. Yeah, there's some avatar work that needs to be done, but like having those little, things on the side of the road and then cars passing you, I think those are actually kind of nice.
I've ridden Rouvy quite a bit, and viewing it as a spectator, I was noticing way more things. And actually, it was difficult to go back to a Zwift stream. Like I watched Rouvy for half an hour, and then I went to a Zwift stream, and I was like, "Does Zwift always look like this?" Like I got used to looking at the live video, going, and this particular route looked fantastic. It was
it's like the Swiss Alps or
route.
something. Looked like the Alps. That's what
And
it
I
looked
thought
like.
Zwift just looked very, very computer, like not good computer.
Yeah,
animated.
it doesn't draw your eye. Like that's the thing about riding. And I did we're bringing another platform in, Wahoo System, which had a ride that seemed like it was a Rick Steves ride, where they were like doing like, oh yeah, this is like the caves for where they sort of did stuff, the Roman Empire. And I was like, it's nice to have other riders sort of ride by, or cars kind of, which is kind of sketchy, but like you have that sort of like real feel, because you're faked out by the things that are accustomed to riding outside.
Well, because Rouvy is filmed either on a motorbike or a car,
yeah, that's
the
like
actual
the system,
real traffic has to drive around the camera car. So in a sense, it feels like the car is driving around you when there is other traffic.
Yeah.
So we need to come up with like the magic list of the perfect group ride, right? It seems like you're getting a lot of people there with the pro athlete or whoever is getting a big draw. My Whoosh seems to have a big hit with this video ride leader, right?
Oh,
I did one of the video led workouts by Holly this week. I will never do a Zwift group workout. I will do a My Whoosh group workout if it's led by a person. Completely changes it. Take that Rouvy experience and put a screen in the corner that actually has the rider interacting with you. Like, how huge would that be? Like, stack what My Whoosh is doing with what Rouvy's got.
Because what we were talking about last week was Peloton.
Yeah.
And people love Peloton for that interaction. And My Whoosh now is doing that, and people really like that.
I underestimated how much different a group workout would feel when you actually had a leader to interact
when you're
with.
seeing somebody else suffer, right?
Yeah.
That's essentially what the broadcasts did for when we talked about the Canadian Nationals, and you cut to those people, right? But with a group workout, I watched you do that one with Holly, and it was like, oh, she's talking, and then later on she's like, hey, this is gonna be a tough segment, blah blah blah, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, and you're doing full dissertations on your chat while you're doing a workout.
Yeah.
But the thing I wanted to bring up too, which we touched on at the beginning with full gas and Rouvy sort of combining forces, which we didn't touch on, which I just thought of now when we were talking about the Wout van Aert ride, is all these triathletes now are going to be experiencing Rouvy. And the cool thing about Rouvy, what's that?
No, they won't.
Oh, no, they won't.
No, read DC Rainmaker's article on this. It's actually interesting because this is where Ironman screwed up. And coming from my triathlon background, I understand completely what Ray was saying here. Ironman invested in full gas thinking that they could get their whole Ironman following to buy into full gas and to pay for subscriptions and all that. And Ironman, they don't want anything other than their training plan. They're going to do their training plan. They're going to use their tools, all that.
Yes.
So
right.
unless there is some free connection, the people that picked up the triathletes and the Ironman is probably Training Peak TPV.
Yes, but
those people are on structured plans, on structured workouts. They don't care about racing. Right. They don't care about all this other stuff.
So no, the thing is Rouvy probably no. My point is you're accurate in that statement.
Right.
But Rouvy, like Training Peaks, it tracks your outdoor activities and gives you credit, which Zwift doesn't do, and I don't think anyone else does. But like if you do a swim, because you're not swimming inside, unless you have the virtual, like whatever, the Lionel Sanders thing, but you're doing a swim outside, and you're like, oh, I'm in the Rouvy thing. It goes into Rouvy, and I get my little coins, and I get my XP. Or I do a run outside, or I do a run inside on Rouvy, and it's giving me the run course for Kona. I'm getting little incentives instead of just I'm going to go do my workout in Training Peaks, or the coaches put it in Training Peaks, and I'm following Training Peaks. And the experience of Training Peaks for me is I don't use Training Peaks as much anymore because it's too engineered. It's too much. I prefer like I intervals ICU or something else where it's like, hey, I just want to see something on one page, and I have a lot of devices that go into that, and that's why I'm with you on the hey, they're not going to get people to buy into it, but they might get some people to go, hey, you know what? I'll just do Rouvy stuff, and it goes into Rouvy, and I get a credit for my swims, and I get credit for my rides or my runs, and I'm getting outdoor stuff tracked in this thing.
Well, that's what Rouvy doesn't advertise that very often. But yes, you do get credit for all your outdoor activities within the game.
Right. And the gamification thing, which is the incentives for most people, that's why they love doing their thing, is like, oh, I'm in Zwift because I get my XP and I do my drops. And it's just like, but what if you got your outdoor rides in there too?
So completely left turn on that topic, but it came up for me. I don't know if you three are the same way. I used to care about Strava a little bit. I could care less about because I'm not tracking anything outdoors anymore. Like I don't even open Strava. I don't pay any attention to it anymore.
Three weeks ago, I cut all syncing to Strava.
I probably
because I was using Strava because like 4, 5, 6 years ago, Strava was the only thing that would sync to everything. Right. So I would say a huge majority of people like me were using Strava to get my info here, there. Well,
it's your hub.
Since that time, everyone syncs to everyone.
Yeah.
The only thing that doesn't sync is my Whoosh won't sync to Garmin Connect. So I do have to upload the fit files. Yeah. But I was like, Strava, we're done. You're getting no information from me.
Well, and I think what you were getting at, BK, is I think a solution that slides those things together starts winning, right? In that aspect, the outdoor and the indoor, because Strava's seem to have lost hold on that. I'm not sure why, but they seem to have lost hold on that.
Yeah, because they're not offering more stuff. And if you see it, well, look, Training Peaks, like Ironman, Full Gas, whatever, and they went with Rouvy. So that's like two virtual platforms combining forces. But like Ironman is the top for triathletes, right? There's always the second tier, third tier stuff. But Strava is sort of, it's just a data place for you to do a social thing. That's why they added messages. It's because I'm not a premium person, so I don't do all that stuff. Like the only reason why I have Strava and I send everything to Strava is so my friend knows I'm alive, because I don't talk to him, or one of my friends knows that I'm alive because he sees me do Strava stuff. But the sort of like, yeah, you're right about, it's sort of like, what is Strava there for? Right? Yeah, it can do the runs and it can do the swims and it can do the things, but it's not like you're having to use other things to get to it. And then you're like, well, why not just stay in this world? And there's less social now from Strava being Strava, because there's so, like, one thing that I was always bothered by Strava was there were so many small segments. It was like 200 meters of like a, you know, it's like a 5-minute climb. It's like, well, why don't we just get rid of all the other things unless they fix that? But it was always like to the tree, and you're like, get a KOM, and then from the tree to the mailbox you get a KOM, and then it's like, this is like a 5-minute climb. Why are we doing, 30-second efforts to get a KOM? Because people just
that must
made
be
it.
a California thing.
Oh, really? Is that, maybe they fixed that?
I don't know.
If you can't get the KOM for the whole climb, you could at least say, well, I was fastest in this 50-meter section here.
Yeah.
You guys are all talking about these KOMs on climbs. You got to understand, out here there are no climbs, so we just do random. We just do random tailwind KOMs.
That's
right?
where I used to live. That's where I used to live. There's no KOMs where I live. I think I'm where Casey lives, in the super flat. Yeah. Like, I'm in an Etch-a-Sketch world where it's like I can do like 5 hours and get like 200 meters of climbing because I've gone over canals. I've gone over enough canals.
Any KOM in my county has been set, and you can go look, and I'll guarantee you the person had at least a 25-mile-an-hour tailwind on every KOM set in my county.
But that's still, I think that's still the number one thing for Strava.
But yeah, I think Strava lost its interest in me whenever it started charging more and more, because all I care about segments. Like, I don't care about anything else. And they keep taking segments or features away from the free side, so people will pay. Well, the only thing that I care about are the segments
that's how you make
and the
money.
live segments. You know what I mean?
Stop taking away the free things.
Well, and the pay is, the cost is too expensive for what it's giving.
Yeah,
me.
that's
I don't know what
I would pay for Strava if it was cheaper. They made it too expensive, and I shut it down.
Well, the whole idea of a social media platform is they use your data and you give you free stuff for using your data. Strava's like, oh, we're going to use your data, but you can't see it. Like, Strava should be selling your commuting data and all of that to make money, or even show me ads. I don't care if I'm scrolling through some ads like a Facebook. Like, give me free stuff. It's my data.
Right.
Yeah, throw a Google banner on there and make some money on the ads.
Yeah. But yeah, that's no. That was good left turn. Just talking about a social platform versus a sort of a fitness platform, right? Because there's, going on the journey here. I didn't do Rouvy, but I did Training Peaks after I did my Whoosh stuff. So at Training Peaks, and we touched on that, it is still where it is. It's still pretty stale, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I did ride with the group. I think there's like a new Castle Gate. I saw that. Now, I think, and there's a new device connectivity page, which helps, but it's not as polished as it should be, in my opinion. You can now see the auxiliary devices you want to connect. And so you get your smart trainer, because it used to be like one page where you couldn't see it because the boxes were so big that you had to scroll down, and if you didn't know how to scroll down, you never saw it. And I was like, how do I connect my core device, and so on. But now you can connect your smart trainer, your heart rate monitor, your power meter, and then auxiliary devices, which is like, I have an SMO2 monitor, and then I have the core body temperature monitor, and those are connected. But then I jumped into a ride, and it's still the same. It's the same thing. So, and I know that Training Peaks has got them, and I think they've said that they're working on, updates, and they're constantly updating. Still, they have a whole team, and we're just waiting on the Training Peaks experience to improve. But it's still rock solid. I mean, it's still really complex underneath. I just think that there's simplicity that needs to happen on the top end to make it just a little bit easier to kind of navigate and get around.
So good. I'm eager to see what they do with it, because it's so good at its foundation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's good. I go ahead, Brian.
No. The biggest thing for me is they have to have everything underneath the hood. Like I don't know how much they could get better. I haven't rode it in a year, and a year ago it was excellent. So I don't know what all they've added to improve, but I feel with the Training Peaks integrated, because I feel a lot of people ride Zwift also use Training Peaks. I think if they update the graphics to be on par with Zwift of any aspect, or even just better than what they got, I think a lot of people will start second guessing, hey, maybe I shouldn't pay for Zwift if Indy Velo's here. But if they add another world that's like maybe twice as big as what they got now, and the graphics are better, I think that's going to steal a lot of users from Zwift that, already have that pay for Training Peaks. You know what I mean? Say 25% of the users.
The number one thing, if they had really good graphics, like a good visual representation of whatever they want to do, people will definitely consider.
Well, no one wants to pay for 5 different things. And I think that's where Zwift has narrowed it down, because people pay for Zwift and then they race on free, race free for my whoosh.
Yeah.
I think, me personally, I'd have a tough time paying for multiple subscriptions. And like Brian just said, if you're already paying for Training Peaks, you might be more inclined to say, see you Zwift, I'm going to go with TPV, but with the current state of the graphics, you're not going to really want to do that.
Yeah. If they close that gap a little bit, I think like,
and I mean,
Brian's
some
saying,
of these apps are not charging very much at all, but it's still $5 you to death. $5, $5.
Yeah, that's where my whoosh has got me, right? Like, it's because it's not a subscription. It's like they'll catch me at a weak moment, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pay for the season pass. It's a few dollars. You pay for it, and you're good for a quarter, right? 3-4 months.
Yeah,
so
that's what $10 a quarter.
Yeah, I keep doing the my whoosh just because, like, I'll pay $10 to see what they're doing over there, and I'll do it every couple of months. I'm still not actively paying for Zwift. I'm really struggling with. I'm not excited about getting back into $20 a month. Like, I got a couple months left.
Zwift has completely lost my interest. For honestly, like I've done 2 double dip rides, like events, like just double dip free riding, but I've joined 2 events since the 18th of December.
Next time you double dip, can you join a race and get some results for us? Because he's no longer qualified to be on my ladder team because he doesn't have race history in the last 30 days. Like, at least do one race.
Well, he's on a boat and now he's sick. So
yeah,
I am. Well, too. You know what? I got sick. It wasn't from the cruise. A guy at work who I just thought he was kind of like worked.
Yeah, but you were on a
tired.
boat, then you got off the boat, and then you got sick. So that's like,
Well, who knows? Yeah,
but you did 2 boats. You did back-to-back boats, didn't you?
No, it was just a long cruise.
Okay.
But this guy had the flu.
One long boat.
And then didn't realize he didn't know he had the flu. He just thought he didn't feel good. Well, it turned out he had the flu, and that's where I got it from. But
there you go.
But so I want to go back to my whoosh real quick. You guys brought up the participation for SRC.
Yeah.
How many men and women do you think out of that 350? I pulled up the results for today.
Oh, how's the split? What's the split?
Yeah, like how's the split? Like there was.
I would say 60-40, knowing my whoosh.
I was gonna go 1/3, 2/3. Yeah, so you're gonna be like 110 females, the rest males, something like that.
And this was the monthly final, so you had to qualify. So this might even be a little bit lower.
Qualify for money, or you just qualify to race?
No. Okay, qualify for the race. So the way my whoosh works is the monthly final. You have to do 2 of the qualifying races. So you can't just show up and race the final. You have to do 2 races in that month to qualify for the final.
What's different about the final? Explain it, Brian.
Yeah.
I mean, I know
it's
the
the
answer.
team races. You're on a team, so you get team prize money for how your team places and individual. So that's
There's no
what the
team
monthly
money.
finals for.
There's no team money on the regular races, just on
Correct.
the one.
Yeah, on the
So you
regular
have 3
qualifiers.
races to do 1 race. You have 3 races to do 2 races to then do 1 race.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, is that what?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not good at math, but I think that's what you're saying, right?
But the individual prize money is the same on the final.
Unless we have 5
weeks
weeks, unless we have 5 weeks in the month.
Yeah, then you get 4 qualifiers.
or a week off.
No, you get 3. You get 3 races to do 1. You get. Oh yeah. You get 4 races to do 1 race.
Yeah. So there was 127 females today, and then 214 males.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of women's racing on my whoosh. Very cool.
Yeah. So that was awesome. And our flight wizard, she won. Her team won the
Very cool.
Oh, nice.
women's. I don't know what category, whatever category it was. They won her category by 9 minutes. It wasn't even close.
Oh, wow.
What's the not flight wizard name? Isn't it like Claudine?
I don't want to mess it up.
Charlotte?
No,
That's a
Claudine
name.
Chabois.
it's
Chabois?
Dominique.
Dominique Chabois.
There you go. I wasn't
Oh,
going to even say
you're
her
gonna
last
add an
name.
S. You're gonna be
No.
Chabois. Chabois. Just say
Yeah.
Chabois.
Just Dominique.
Dominique.
I think
Dominique
I think
Chabois.
we should just have
right?
an episode just called Brian Says Names.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, you're saying Strava. I mean, like come
Strava,
on.
that's Canadian.
Very
Yeah,
Canadian.
I think that's just a Canadian thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
And,
right.
and then my whoosh also has the new season pass, which has Japan. Which guess what Japan has in my whoosh?
Oh,
Fuji?
what does it
Yes.
have?
Does it have
Oh,
Fuji?
yeah, I saw Pookie.
It
Aaron.
has Mount Fuji,
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
which
Good.
Zwift in the Olympics, perfect opportunity missed. So I love that my whoosh said, you know what, we'll do
Wait a
Japan
minute.
and give my.
You're saying Zwift was going to pull off Mount Fuji for the Olympics in 2020?
Well, I mean, yeah, it would make sense, wouldn't it?
Is it
Wouldn't
as
it?
amazing?
Hold on a second. What making sense? This show barely makes sense. But what you think Zwift is going to make sense for
Yeah.
for like grabbing that marketing opportunity? Come on.
Yeah, so let's
it
just
as-
put in perspective about what my whoosh has added to their worlds. Switzerland, 26 kilometers. California, I think the longest route, not counting everything else, is 56. You had the UCI Worlds, which they're kind of small anyway. Australia, I think the longest route on it's like 35 kilometers.
And then
And
you're just saying
Japan-
the longest route. And these are routes that are not
Yes.
backtracking on
Right.
each other.
The flat out routes. These
These are
are
roads.
yeah.
Not
And then
routes,
Japan,
roads.
I haven't rode it. I don't know yet. I didn't ride enough this week to warrant the cost. Or not
Value.
warrant the cost, but warrants the time of it.
Right. I did the my whoosh today, and I was like, oh, I have the because I did the
Oh, the 300.
the 300, so I can buy the thing. And then Scott was telling me I was pretty much done with riding my whoosh because I wanted to move on to the next one.
Say,
But
I'm-
you get the Japanese Japanese world, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for free. Yeah, you'll get it for free because you got the
That's right.
Gems
Free.
from-
value.
I was
Nothing
gonna
like
ask,
value.
yeah, is it as good as the last season pass? That's I haven't
Yeah.
actually seen it yet.
You guys would know because you guys did the
Yeah, it's
season pass.
the season pass, the bike you get, like basically you got the My Whoosh Tron and the first season pass. This is a retro bike. I kind of like it because it has those old school like 70s wires coming up out of the
wires.
handlebars, whatever.
You mean
Cables.
shift cables
Yeah, just listen. I'm kind of tired, not feeling too hot.
or brake cables?
Yeah, those two.
Yeah, right. Oh man, I'm not a fan of the retro stuff.
Yeah.
I get it. It's fun. Like it's fun. Speaking of fun, Bike Terra. I want to touch on Bike Terra and Crank Up before we get out of here.
5 minutes.
Look at that guy on the clock. He's like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta go listen to a violin or a flute or something.
I've been doing the time countdowns in chat, and I don't think anyone's looking at it.
I see it. I got it up.
Right on. No, so Bike Terra I've been doing a lot of, and we had Matt, who is one of the developers of Bike Terra, in my stream, and they're working on physics right now. So they added dual sensors, they added the core device, so you can get that in there. They're working on other things, but they're now really focusing on more physics stuff, which is very cool to hear. Because I had a little ride with him. We did a climb, and I'm like, hey, even though we're going on a climb, it's like nice to be able to get on someone's wheel, and like someone does like a 30-second pull or whatever, and then being able to rotate off. And I brought this up. I don't know if I brought this up last week, but I brought it up on my stream when I did it. I think they have the best positioning, which is what everyone's going to call steering. But steering doesn't really exist unless you do like Grand Theft Auto bike mod, where you're actually steering off of the road and going wherever you want. Everything that we do is essentially positioning, right? They have chosen, which I like, to stay in the crown of the lane, not the entire road. So they have two-way roads. So it's like, imagine if you're in Paris-Roubaix and you are on the middle of the cobbles. So we're kind of like the off camber or the camber from the right and the left, and you're right in the center on that spine. That's where they dominate their riders. Like everyone's trying to get in that line, and if someone's in that space, you can't really knock them out. You can either go ahead of them or you can go behind them, but you can use arrow keys on your keyboard to move to position to the left or to the right. You can't phase through people. So like if somebody's blocking you to the left, you can't phase through them. But once you get into a spot where you do actually go to the left, as soon as you let go of that button, it brings you back to the center, to the crown of the lane. And that has got some flow to it, right? And I really like that. I don't know what you guys think about it.
I appreciate collision. I like not being able to ride through other people. I think it would bring a whole new element to racing of, actually there was a YouTube video. I was going to bring this up next week, but maybe we can show this guy's YouTube video where he talks about, every Zwift race where you sprint and you ride through everyone and you draft all the way to the front. Well, in a real race, if you want to go around people, you have to go around people. So positioning for a race, if you are now going wide out of the draft to try to sprint, would bring an entire new form of racing.
Right.
Because you're positioning, getting into the final kilometer, you would need to jockey to be like, I need to be near the front. Otherwise, I'm going wide, getting no draft. And
the key thing for the Biketerra approach is you have to take your hand off of which it would be great if we had it on the bike to do the left or the right, which sucks. I get it. But you need to commit. Like I'm just going to stay in the group or stay in this draft or stay on this line. If I choose to move around either left or right, because you can do the left or right arrow, and as soon as you let go, it's bringing you back to the center, which most people will do. What I think is lost, which RGT had a terrible implementation of it, which was the lanes. And you stayed in the lane that you chose to be in. This cuts out that sort of like indecision of like, oh, I don't want to steer or I don't want to do this thing. It's like you can steer to go around somebody, but it's going to bring you back to the center so that where most people do this, they don't go to the gutter all the time. They kind of ride in the middle because then people can get on their draft. That's love this. Sorry, I got one last thing. I love that because I would sacrifice taking the tightest line or hitting the apex properly because we're always trying to be in a pace line in the center of the lane, and it's really smooth. You can get a really good pace line, and you don't have to be steering. You can just turn off for a while and go, look, I'm just going to stay in this group, and I'm going to do what I was doing like an RGT is like, hey, I'm going to push a little bit more power, and I'll go around this person. But if I really want to go around this person, I can actually hit the keyboard, but it's going to snap me back.
I almost teach that in our team time trial stuff on Zwift because too many people think just because they can steer, they need to dive and do all that. Everybody spends all their time chasing. It's like, don't touch the steering. Just quit touching it.
Yeah, right.
If you're in front, don't steer. Just stay centered in the lane. Let everybody else fall in behind you. And if that happens naturally, that's going to be a much smoother experience.
Yeah, so Gary, Lee, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say my final thoughts on that was Zwift's first implementation of positioning worked really well in those regards where you could position yourself and move around somebody. And when you stopped steering, within 15, 20 seconds, the game would take over and sort of put you back where it thought. Like it was sort of auto. Like Zwift had a really good implementation between you steering and it going back to auto mode.
Yeah. But I think 15 seconds is like still even too much because it's almost instantaneous. As soon as you let go of the keyboard on Biketerra, you're like going right back into and it's not super drastic. It's not this sort of like crashing into the person. It's like, it's kind of this nice little flow where you, like when you come around somebody and you stay in the center of the road because you don't want to put somebody in the gutter. It's like that sort of, it gives me that flow feeling, which I love.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Anything more? Okay, so crank up, right? Biketerra is cool. No. Unless anybody has anything more about Bike Terra, I think Bike Terra is cool. What I was wanted to do
No, we don't
tonight
have.
was try everything out because I hadn't done it back to back to back. It's like we do one, or you double dip, triple dip, whatever you're doing, and you're not feeling the other stuff. It's like I haven't felt like Zwift was one thing, and then my whoosh was a different feel. It was a lot heavier. Like obviously the course was super, like 11%, 12% on some of these things. But then Crank Up, which I hadn't been. I was watching Beer Bear. I don't know his real name, but he was doing Crank Up the other day, and I was like, oh, I forgot about Crank Up. Let's do that. I fired it up. I guess the guy, I think his name's Marco. I think he's a solo developer. He has a new world, and he's added Bluetooth support, which are two big features. It's called Cyclantis, like Atlantis, but it's Cycle Atlantis. I like the name. It's pretty cool. I tried it out for like 5 minutes tonight because I was done. But it's promising too because it has a lot of metrics that people might want. It's free as of right now. But it has a bunch of stuff, and it's still being developed. So
It has better graphics than Training Peaks Virtual.
yeah, I know it does. Oh man, he actually improved the waves. So like if in the Cyclantis, there's like 2 ponds, and the waves. He has a Discord too if you want to check it out. But like the shadows on the waves or like the reflections on the waves, I was like, man, that's pretty good.
But isn't the city of Atlantis under the sea?
Yeah.
Shouldn't the waves be above you on Cyclantis?
They pretty much are. You're down below. You're below sea level because
Okay.
it's a road that's like under. It's like a pond. You have two fountains or 2 ponds. You're below that. It's also Cyclantis, not Atlantis. The play on words. All right, that's it for Crank Up. Anything else? Are there any ones like I haven't done Virtual Pro in a while? Is there anything else that I haven't done?
No, we're pretty good.
What I was thinking, what else is there?
That's all right now that I.
Yeah.
Well, you got Smash Your Fitness, but
Oh, Smash. We haven't tried Smash. I need to try Smash.
and then there's a couple in the pipeline that we haven't got any.
Oh, I
Updates
signed up
on.
for that one. What was that? Casino Royale.
Psycho Royale.
Psycho Royale. Yeah. There's no.
And then Watt Games.
Watt Games we haven't done. I don't even know
it's
if they
been a
still
year.
exist. Still exist. There's a ton. There's plenty out there. Oh,
Next week.
next week. All right, we're gonna get out of here. We're 7 minutes over. Casey's like, we're out of here. I have to get to this flute practice. Okay. Anything else? Any questions that popped up? I know you guys look at chat. I tell you every week, don't look at chat. But if there's something in
Chat actually literally just says
Cue the
cue
music.
the music.
Yeah.
sounds good. There's the wave. That
Good
means
luck
get
to
out.
everybody doing nationals
Yeah,
this
thank
week.
you.
The USA guys. A quick shout out to the boys over at Nowhere Fast.
Oh, that's right.
They just dropped a podcast yesterday. They had me on there about a week ago.
It's a good
It was
podcast.
a lot
I
of
like it. I
fun.
enjoy it. It's a lot of.
Yeah.
I've been listening. I've been a fan for a while.
Those guys are a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've been listening to at least 2002 or 2022. So yeah, there. Go check it out. Casey's on it. I'm going to listen to it either tomorrow, or when I drive to the office. On that note, the music has been playing. I'm waving now, so time to say goodbye, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Hey, see you guys.